All right, so here we are on another episode of Grounding Ascension, and I am so excited for this episode to have such a special guest and beautiful woman that I met here in Hawaii. And we are going to be talking about one of my passions, which is fasting. This woman is a beautiful soul doing deep breathwork for people on Hawaii and then even online these days. And she was a part of the 3-day fast program that I have created. And since then has ran wildly with fasting. And I am so excited to dive deep into this conversation. So, Katie, if you want to take over, give us an intro about you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Celeste. Aloha. Wow. What an honor it is to share this space and share this energy and have this conversation at this time. And I'm not just saying in this podcast, but just in this time, in this period in which we are moving through as a conscious collective. So thank you. Thank you so much for opening up this space. So my name is Katie, and wow, yeah, I was called to Hawaii through a breathwork journey. And I truly believe that we're in a process of remembering what our soul purpose is, what our journey is. It's not so much about looking further ahead or looking for things to go do or clues of like what we're supposed to do. It's actually a process of unraveling and releasing to come to the core of who we really are. And so through a breathwork journey that I did, I believe about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, it was such a powerful session in which I had an outer body experience just from breathing. And through that, I was able to see and experience and meet my childhood self, who said to me, well, she said, you need to go eat some ice cream and you need to go eat some strawberries. And why the heck are you not already in Hawaii? And when I heard that, I was like, whoa, hold up. Because Hawaii had been a seed that was planted for so long. And then I saw my future self. And she walked up to me with my long hair off to one side. She didn't say anything to me, but it was this look of just, she was so proud of me. And she gave me a shell, which I later learned was a sunrise shell. And from there, a word started being uttered from my lips over and over and over again. And it was a word that I had never heard of at that time, had never even seen, but it was just coming out of my mouth and I had no control over it. And I kept saying, mana, 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 mana. When I came out of this experience, I was like, whoa, what was that? And I later found out that the word mana means power. It means supernatural quality. It means the energy that's on the Hawaiian Islands. It's a Hawaiian word. And slowly that started to piece together this remembrance of who I am and what I came here to do. And so I won't get into the story of just like all the signs that led me to here, but it brought me to Hawaii. And through here, I've been so blessed to really expand and explore like what we are moving through at this time in such a deep level, and to really listen to the call. And through that, I feel so grateful to have met you, Celeste, through the breathwork session at Lemuria Crystal Shop specifically, where we got to unite and connect and remember being in Lemuria. And that's where you introduced to me the fast from then on. And the fast itself has been, I've been fasting a whole bunch since, but yeah, that's kind of just how I led up to fasting.
Yeah, and I remember that evening that we had the breathwork session with you. I had a massive experience that night. It was the Valentine's Day portal weekend. Um, so yeah, and I think, well, from that is when we connected, and then yeah, you decided to do the 3-day fast. So given that you're coming from this background of breath work, um, how did you experience your first fast? Because the fasting process opens our awareness, opens our channels, and just heightens our entire experience of reality. And so does breath work, right? So can you talk a little bit about your very first experience with fasting?
Yes. Oh my goodness. The first time that I fasted was in your 3-day program, Celeste. And let me just tell you, I am so grateful that you created this program because fasting was on my mind before. I had maybe fasted for a day, maybe accidentally, but to do it for 3 days, I wasn't sure if I was able to do it. But with your just with all the videos and the knowledge and the support, it felt like I wasn't doing it by myself. There was a community of us, and you were holding the space so gracefully. And so the option was to either water fast, but you also offered the option of dry fasting. And for those who don't know what dry fasting means, it means omitting water. So there's a soft dry fast, which is you still bathe in water, and you can still like go take showers or baths or dip in the ocean because your skin does absorb water. Or you could do a complete like a hard dry fast, which is omitting water. And entering into this journey, this portal, I believe it was for the summer solstice. No, I think it was before that. It was in the springtime. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and do the dry fast. I'm gonna try and do the soft dry fast. And it heightened everything. It heightened my sense of awareness. It heightened my appreciation for just what my body felt. I felt like I could feel all the interconnections in my cells. And even when I would stretch my body, I was like, whoa, this is what it feels like to stretch my body. Because with fasting, it really it forces you to slow down. It really does, because you're not used to your typical ways of nourishment. And so when you omit what you're used to, it forces the body to really slow down and do the repair and take care of itself. And I really felt that, Celeste. Like I had to slow down. I was given no choice. And through that, let's just say breathing felt so good. Like breath, I realized how much breath is our medicine.
Yeah, and for you, particularly with your work, that's massive, right? Because I mean, you normally do small fasts or shorter fasts at least before you hold space for others or you do your own work. But you know, this is bringing breath to the absolute forefront of our daily experience, right? Because what do you have left when you have no food, right? And then if you're doing a dry fast, forget about it, right? You can't even resort to water as a source of replenishment. So breath becomes it holds a whole entire new meaning in your life, right? And even when you close your fast, it's like you never walk out of the fast the same person you walked in, right? And then when we align these fasts with portals, and you're right, I don't remember if it's the solstice or if it was another portal before that, but I know it was definitely a portal. And yeah, just fasting with portals is extremely accelerating for the cells and the DNA and our lives and the spiritual body and the energy body. So it's this massive acceleration that we're jumping into, right? And yeah, I'm curious to know, since that first fast, and I know that as a world and as a collective, we've all been moving through transformation, right? But fasting with that portal and then moving forward, have you seen any big shifts or jumps, or do you recall something specifically coming up during that fast that shed light or shed clarity into something? Because what I find is the things that I feel like vagueness on, or I don't have clarity in my life, a little bit of fasting it just brings so much clarity, and it's so simple. So yeah, I'm curious to know if you experienced that maybe during our first fast or since then.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, doing that first fast, because I omitted food and I omitted water, it shattered a lot of what I had previously thought as paradigms or beliefs, because we're told you have to drink 8 cups of water a day, or you need to eat breakfast in the morning, and you have to fulfill these food groups to survive. And I'd recognize that, wait a second, we are fueled by something that is beyond food and water. There is something greater that is holding us and carrying us. And I think it's really important to set an intention for your fast too. And so my intention for the first fast was to connect more closely to source, to connect to God, if you will, whatever it is in which one resonates with. But I just wanted to feel that connection and just see and experience what it felt like to really experience true, even hunger. I had a friend once tell me that he doesn't use the word "I'm starving" anymore, because when he says that, he's not actually starving. We kind of throw these words around. And so I wanted to explore just the depths of the human condition and also connect more closely to source and see what it is that is fueling us. And so after completing that first fast, it just showed me that, oh, okay, I can do this. This is possible. Um, it showed me how simple life really is, to be honest. I remember going on an evening walk and moving very, very slowly on that first fast. And I remember looking at the leaves, and the leaves just looked even brighter. I looked at the sky and I could feel just gratitude, such deep gratitude for the sky being the sky, for the leaves being the leaves, for flowers being the pink flowers that they were. Like, it felt like I was looking at everything through HD. Everything was brighter, more vibrant. And it just showed me, like, wow, what is it that I really need in this life? I don't need much. We really don't need much. It's actually much better to simplify. And what I love about fasting is that it's not asking you to take anything in. It's not asking you to take an extra supplement or do more of anything. It's actually the opposite. It tells you to slow down, to remove, to omit, to uncover what is deep within. And so, since that first fast, Celeste, my dear friend Jasmine, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I want to do this detox, and I think I want to do a fast, but I don't know if I can do it with myself. Would you want to do it with me?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And through that fast together, we were in the same space for 3 days together, which really amplified the experience. Just knowing that you have someone you can lean on to hold each other accountable, and then even share your intentions. And we just added more of a ceremonial aspect with each other. We moved through some powerful things. Like, I went through a conscious uncoupling with a previous partner. She did as well. I had a bunch of questions in my heart that I just didn't quite have the answer to. I didn't quite have clarity. But what I love that you mentioned, Celeste, in the fasting and just like the fasting program was like, if there's a question that's on your heart and you don't know the answer to, and you can't really outsource anyone else because maybe it's a question that is only that you can find out, or it's something within, fasting can reveal the answer. So since that fast with Jasmine, we moved through some beautiful, powerful things, and she asked me to do a fast with her mom. And I got to usher the matriarch of her family into her ascension through another 3-day fast that just last week. And we did a breathwork session together, and she was able to really dive deep within and express a lot of forgiveness. And then since then, I decided to fast again for this podcast, because it seemed fitting to be speaking about fasting while fasting, to really honor the practice. And it's just deepened my level of awareness and deepened my appreciation for life itself, for even this Aina of Hawaii and how she's held me.
Oof, so much goodness in there. Yes, 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 yes. So, yeah, I mean, fasting it's like a direct method. It's a direct tool to source, to your inner God, to your I am, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like all of these words and boxes and things that we have put in between us and that, universal life force, everything gets shattered and it just doesn't even matter. And life, like you said, becomes so simple and so clear. And that's a big part of fasting because we are detoxing on so many different levels, right? Um, and I love that you're taking this fast and you're running with it and you're bringing more intention into it every time. And yeah, you really made it a part of your life at this point. Because every time I see you, it's like, I just completed this fast, or I just shared the fasting with this friend. And I love that. And there's such a responsibility at this time with the collective being where it's at for everybody. I always say, I think if everybody fasted, the world would not be in the place it is right now because our hearts crack open, the barriers fall apart, the things that no longer serve in our lives, they crumble. They can't hold themselves up when we raise our frequency. Um, and and yeah, this is one of the big reasons why I've I've just been such a passionate, avid speaker of fasting, and I love that you are taking it and running with it. Um, and like you mentioned, the whole thing about hunger and the misunderstanding of what hunger even means, right? And like, how can we actually say things like, "Oh my God, I'm starving"? If you live in the U.S., you have no idea what starving even looks like or seems to be, right? Um, and now, most fittingly, is the 1010 portal. So you're now fasting with this portal, right? I love it. It's so divine. Can you speak about, I know you did a longer fast earlier. Is that correct?
So I did a 3-day fast with Jasmine, and then I did a 3-day fast with her mom. And then I grounded because we moved through some deep stuff together. And then I just embarked on another fast. But actually, Celeste, I actually do want to share with you a little story. Um, so since I fasted with Jasmine and shared about it, I've had friends popping up saying like, Katie, like friends in Canada, friends in LA, friends just all over who, like a friend I think on the West Coast in maybe Washington or maybe Oregon. But they were like, Katie, you've inspired me to fast. Like I want to fast too. And because I saw you do it, I know that I can do it. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like I just fasting will give you the medicine and give you exactly what you need. Because I can't tell you what's going to come through. I can't tell you what's going to be revealed or what's going to happen. Yet I know that it's just your own unique medicine. Just like how I describe breath work as, like the breath will give you exactly what you need. Your breath is your own unique medicine. So is fasting. And how beautiful is it that these ancient practices, they seem so revolutionary, but really they've been practiced for centuries, since the beginning of time. And it seems like we're just returning to it or becoming aware of its potency again. And so I had a friend who told me, hey, I did a 3-day fast, and on the day that she was breaking her fast, I checked in with her and I asked her, how is it going? How are you experiencing it? She's like, it's going really great. I'm really excited to break my fast, but I feel like I could go longer. Like I don't even feel hungry. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Then she shares with me, Katie, I didn't remember this at the time, but I realized my sister did a 21-day fast. When I heard that, it just baffled me. It blew my mind. And I think that's why I asked you, Celeste. I'm like, hey, Celeste, like, how long have you like, what's the longest you've gone fasting before? And so when I inquired a little further, I was like, your sister did a 21-day fast. Like, how did she even do that? And she said that she did it with her church, and they came in and they brought in their prayers and their intentions. And there was only one thing that she really wanted. She really wanted custody over her children, because she was in a relationship with someone and it just wasn't working out. And she was really praying for custody over her children. And so she embarks on this 21-day fast. And by day 7, her lawyer calls her out of the blue, out of nowhere, and says to her, "You're never going to guess what happened." And she said, "What?" He's like, "Your ex-partner walked into my office, signed the papers, giving you full custody of the kids, walked out, no explanation, nothing, and just left." And when she heard this, she was just overwhelmed with gratitude, just crying, just thanking just for her God, thanking spirit, source. Like, just, she was so grateful for receiving what she had asked for, from, like a true heart's intention, from a pure place. And she was so grateful that she continued to fast for the full 21 days because of her gratitude. And when I heard that, it just opened my worldview, my mind, into like just the potency of fasting in itself. Because at first I saw it as like, oh yeah, I'm just going to cleanse my body. I know that digestion is the most taxing
Task our
what
body. Yeah.
yeah, that digestion is the most like taxing thing that body does. So when you omit the need for digestion, it actually allows for the body to take care of itself, to repair its cells, to repair its DNA, to really heal and upgrade on a cellular level, emotional level, mental level. But since I've just kind of dove deeper with fasting and just hearing people's stories, it's opened up just the beauty of our potential, the beauty of what this all is. And I just know there's so much more. But hearing a story like that just blasted my mind and heart open, Celeste.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was on mute, but you just made me cry. and and I feel it, and that's really my intention behind this program. I open the door and I let people explore to the level that they're ready to go to, right? But like I had mentioned earlier, it's like fasting is the easiest, it's free. It's like the most simple thing that we can do in our world, and yet it is so hard to come by, right? And it's this tool that brings us back. Call it to religion, to God, to source. It doesn't even matter when you're fasting what you call it, right? It brings you back. And what we're doing, like we're cleansing. And I love that you talk about, everything that you learned in the program. It's like when we're cleansing at a deeper cellular level, what's happening with our DNA, we are upgrading our DNA and we're going quantum. The time mechanics, and it's a part of DNA upgrading, shifts. And so what happens when we're fasting is that we're now accessing the quantum realm. We're able to heal past, present, and future. And this is this is such a prime example of that happening, right? Like if you truly fast with purpose and intention, which is a big part of that program that I created. But I think when we do longer programs, that is at the forefront. I would never recommend, like going into a longer fast without a deep intention, because you're reuniting with source. And it's like, well, why are you doing that? And it is bringing us back at a cellular level and at an energetic level to the pure frequency of the God within. And it's so powerful. It's so life shifting and altering. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And I've seen miracles happen through fasting. And yeah, the longer the fast, the deeper and the more extensive you'll see its effects on your life. Absolutely. I love that.
My goodness, yes, Celeste. Like I have chicken skin just hearing you express all of that, because you took the words right out of my mouth. You expressed the words that are on my heart. And what I appreciated so much about your fast and how you guided us and led us was that it wasn't, you really honed in on having an intention for the fast, because I know that I wouldn't have been able to complete the initial 3-day fast without an intention. The intention was like that beam of light at the end of the tunnel. It was recommitting me back to why I'm doing this. And when you have a deep why, when it is so deep, like deep, deep, deep within, that you are unwavering and unshakable in your reason and your purpose, it just opens up so much beauty. And I remember reflecting on this after my second fast, where yes, I had just gotten out of the ocean and it just, everything seemed clear. Everything was brighter. Everything was not even seemed, everything was. Everything simply was clear and brighter and more vibrant and vivid. And it's like I would ask a question in my heart, in my mind, or even out loud to source, and the answer would just land right in front of me. It was just dropped in. And it had me just kind of chuckle to myself out loud of, wow, the connection to source is so strong when you fast that why would I want to live any other way? Like, this is beautiful. This is amazing. Like, I am receiving insights that I've been like answers to questions I've been wondering for so long, my whole life. And all the answers we truly are looking for are within. I
I
have
love
another, oh, one more thing. I have another friend named Jasmine. She's my best friend from back home in Canada. And she once said to me, if you ever need the answer, or all the answers that you are ever looking for can be summed up in 2 words. Let me rephrase that. The answer to all the questions you have can be summed up in 2 words. Look within.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's one of those quotes by, I have no idea who, but there was like a philosopher that says something similar, right? And it's true. But in this reality that we live in, right, that's so governed by the external, by senses, by sensual stimulation and all of these things, right? Like we're so governed by the external. And I think that's one of the big reasons why fasting just happened in my life. You know, it was like, you got to go within. And in order to take you within, you're going to have to fast, you know? And yeah, I mean, when you create the right space with the right circumstances and the right intention, you know, the clarity is there. And then it's just a matter of having the courage to see it through and to receive the wisdom. Because it's one thing to see it, right, in a fasted state, and then it's like, okay, how do I integrate it all, right? And I love that you broke the 3-day fast and then you continued on with another 3-day fast. Yeah, it's just that process of receiving, integrating, right?
Completely. And that's what I appreciated so much too about how you walked us through this experience, because it wasn't just, all right, 3-day fast begins tomorrow. It was a process of, okay, 3 days of preparation. Let's detox. Let's prepare our bodies. Let's set up our intentions. Let's get really clear on why we're fasting. And then the 3 days of fasting itself of, okay, you're in the journey, you're in the experience. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing you need to prepare for. There's nothing that you need to prepare for later. Just be in the experience. And then afterwards, walking us through the 3 days of just the aftercare, the integration. And integration has been a really big word that's resonated lately, because at the end of the day, why are we fasting? And everyone's reason will be different. Yet what I'm seeing is that, you know, we fast for ourselves, we fast to reveal and uncover these, let's say, answers or wisdom within. But what is the wisdom ultimately for? What are the answers ultimately for? It's for everyone. You heal yourself, you heal the world, as within, so without. And so being able to dive deep into these experiences or realms or just deeper within, it's so that we can bring it to our everyday lives. It's like the eyes closed experience is for the eyes open experience. That's how a friend once described meditation to me.
Oh yeah, that's so accurate. And it's so much easier said than done, right? It's like
Wow.
fasting is yeah, it's like fasting is a hurdle in itself. And then there's this like at some point there's like this calm with fasting that you're just kind of gliding and you're taken care of the whole time. And then the process of integration happens, which is when you break fast and a few days later, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit and talk deeper into the process of integration, because what I've noticed is that such massive accelerations happen while we're fasting, but then the integration part, it's like when everything just lands, it's like a car's going 100 miles an hour and there's a red stop sign, and it's like you just have to, it's like everything hits you at once. And whatever, again, it just comes back to the idea of what does not serve in your life will make itself see, like it will make itself be seen. And I'm wondering if you've had that experience with all this fasting that you've done lately, because I definitely have. It's like you can't look the other way. You can't deny after a fast the part of integration that happens, which is like, oh, here I am up leveling and it's not pretty, right?
Gosh, I'm so glad we're talking about this because I felt called to also share. Like, I think we should touch on even just like the challenging aspects, like just to be real, just to be honest. Yeah. So with my second fast that I did, something I was moving through was letting go of a past partner. And this was someone who we explored a very, very deep relationship. We were together physically for 9 months or so, but it felt like we were together for 9 years. Like there was a beautiful soul love there. And leading up to the fast, I recognized that it was important to really allow each other to be free, to let each other go. And I recognized that I was entering into partnerships or situationships, as one could say. Um,
Situationships.
yeah, I wasn't calling them relationships. I would say, like, oh, no, I'm just hanging out with this person. But really, it was a relationship, but I didn't have the courage to call it that because just because. And I was like, why am I not? I really want to open my heart. Why am I not able to open my heart to these people? Because that's what I really want. And so it had me dig really, really deep. And I recognized and realized within myself that I was still holding on to this past person. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, they say let go. What does it really mean to let go? And we had been separated physically for 2 years. Yet I didn't realize, like, we were still talking, just saying like, hey, like, how's it going, checking in on each other because we had such a deep love. But just recognized that we were still connected and holding, at least I was holding on to him mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so when I realized this, I brought this up to him. I was a little scared at first. I was like, oh gosh, is this going to be received? Like, what is this going to open? And just realized, like, wow, if I'm still holding on to you, I'm not allowing myself to be free. And if I'm not allowing you to be free, if I'm not allowing me to be free, then I'm not allowing you to be free either. And so it opened up this journey of us exploring, okay, how can we move through this in a conscious way? And it just so aligned that when we set the time to do our conscious uncoupling ceremony with each other, I was fasting. And it was beautiful. We moved through these 6 steps of the rites of passage, and we were able to set an intention even deeper than I could have ever imagined to fully release and let each other go while also honoring everything that we were, and to fully let go of each other completely, wholly, utterly. And when we completed that, it took 2 days or so. We set a time, I believe it was on a Friday, and then another time on a Saturday, and allowed each other to just fully release. Um, I still felt like it wasn't sexy. Like, it was beautiful, and I was sad, and I was crying, and I felt heartbroken. Yet I also knew it was what I needed to do, what we needed to do, to allow each other to be free. And then the days after, oh my gosh, I was bawling, I was crying, like the emotions were still ever present. Like, I needed to move through those things. And I think that's what can happen after a fast. Your body is integrating, your body is releasing, and you're moving through so much that the body needs to catch up to what's happening on a cellular level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, on a mental level. Even with, I'll touch on the first fast, because I wasn't drinking any water, the first sip of water tasted so good. And yet I didn't, you would have thought that I would want to chug a whole bottle of water, or a whole glass of water rather. But that wasn't the case. I needed to sip slowly. And I sipped maybe like a gulp for like every hour for a little bit. And then I had to slowly introduce in liquids. And I think I blended some watermelon, some papaya together. But even still, I wasn't, my stomach had shrunk. I wasn't hungry. So I really needed to like slow down the integration and just really honor the body and honor what the body was needing and requiring. And that's what I love about fasting. It brings you back to your intuition, to your inner wisdom, your inner guidance.
Yeah, and this essence of having to slow down, right? Well, thank you for sharing all of that with your conscious and complete ceremony and everything that you work through. I mean, adding a layer of fasting to that is incredibly powerful, right? Because you're an open vessel, right? Energetically, spiritually, mentally, physically. So yeah, that's divine. And so when the body begins to catch up, it's no longer catching up to that, to the old self, right? And there's a serious need in this world to slow down for everybody. Like we were saying before we started this conversation, like we were talking about, like just when you think you've slowed down enough, it's like you're reminded that you still have to slow down more. And I think that's also a part of what Hawaii teaches us living here. Um, the power behind presence, the power of simplicity. And that's what fasting teaches us, right? Slowing down, presence, and the power that lies right now in this moment. And how when we really honor our bodies and everything that our body does, and we give it a break, coming back to what we're used to is not even what we want anymore, right? It's like breaking the dry fast, like you said. I walk you guys through, like, you can't chug a jar of water, even if you want to mentally, like you won't be able to physically. Your body can't take it and you won't want to, and it's like you can't even explain logically the shifts that have happened on a deep cellular level until you start integrating. And that integrating it's interesting, it's messy, it's hard, it's difficult, it's liberating, right? um yeah, the whole process is so incredibly life-changing. Well, is there anything else that you want to share, maybe for those people that are just wondering if they should fast, or maybe any objections that you felt before ever fasting, like that's silly, or like, I don't know, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I would say that when I first heard of fasting, I thought it was absolutely crazy. I thought it was impossible. That I thought that, like, why would people do that? It just baffled my mind, and I wasn't able to comprehend what the point of it was. Yet I recognized the people that I really admired, or, you know, when you meet someone or you're just, maybe you even walk past a person and you can just feel their energy. And maybe it's something like they walk in and you just feel their energetic field and it just opens up and commands a room. Or maybe you meet someone and you're just like, there's something about them that, like, I don't know what it is, but there's something really unique or special. Like, what is that? And I just found that the people that I really admired, when I would dig a little deeper or I would ask questions, more often than not, they had mentioned that fasting was part of their practice. And I think it's important to listen to those signs, or listen to notice these things. And it took me probably a couple years before I really embarked on a fast. I think the first time I did a fast, it was like a 24-hour water fast. It was kind of accidental. There wasn't really an intention behind it. It was just to see whether or not I could do it. And so I want to share with people that if you're curious about fasting, or it piques your interest, it doesn't have to be this grand, massive, intentional, like, thing that I've even spoken about, or maybe you've heard of all these miracles that have happened, because I didn't start my journey like that at all. I didn't even know that was possible. I just wanted to see if I could do it, if my body could handle it. And then the next time I was introduced to fasting was through my friend, who her family observes Ramadan. And it's where, from, I think, for a period of about a month, depending on their calendar, um, and I want to also be respectful of the practice, so I encourage people to do their research. But from what I remember, it's that they omit food and water during the day from sunrise to sunset, and then at sunset, at night, they are able to eat, and they do that for a whole month.
Yeah.
And I kind of embarked on, I asked her if I could join, just out of curiosity. I just wanted to um, observe her religion. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. I didn't know if I was going to get through the day. I was like, I'm so hungry. Um, but it was just those little experiences of even just trying, even just knowing, like, is this possible? Can my body do it? Is what has allowed for greater insights to come. So don't feel like fasting has to be this massive thing where you have to come in with this big intention. Like, it can just be like curiosity. That can be it. And if you need guidance, it's so helpful to do it with someone, or to do your research, or take part of a program where you know other people are taking part, or where the information and knowledge is laid out for you. Like, that was tremendous. I think that's what really accelerated me to really just take fasting and really dive deep and run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it can be really simple. And I always recommend people, if it's their first time or they want to play around with the idea, I always tell people start with intermittent fasting. You know, it's just like this small baby step that's doable because everybody can do it, right? Um, and it's you'll start learning your behaviors, you'll start learning your relationship towards your body, your food, the what you consume, what you take in. So if you've never ever fasted before, intermittent fasting is a great way to get your toes wet, right? I love that you mentioned Ramadan. I was actually living in Jakarta for a while doing a bar consulting project. I opened up a bar studio over there, and it happened to be during the time of Ramadan, and I had never heard about it. I didn't even know that it was part of their religion, and it was incredible to see. And that's when I was like, oh, I mean, if they can do this, then there's no excuses because they're not carving out their days so that they could do this for a month. Like they keep their regular routines. Um, and it was incredible to see the willpower because they have a true intention, right? For them, it's their religion and it's coming back. And that strong intention is the foundation of that movement in their society. And it's just so beautiful. So what a great reminder that you brought that up.
Wow, I didn't know that. That must have been so cool to be in the energy and the essence of everyone fasting together.
Yes. And that community aspect, it makes everything so much more possible, like you said, right? Like here you have an entire, we were specifically in Jakarta, an entire country, over 90% of the people there, Indonesia, are Muslim in that area that we were in. So imagine, like everyone around you, it's like the hardest thing fasting here in the US is being at home and, having someone next to you eat. So I think that community aspect is really powerful. And I'm actually now I'm like really feeling guiding a more extended fast, which I think would be really nice and beautiful to do.
Yes, the community aspect. That's also one of our ancient medicines, community, coming together. And I love that you brought that up because that's what you bring, Celeste, bringing people together to fast. And since my fast, one of my friends who is in Canada, she's like, I want to bring fasting into a monthly practice. And I was like, I want to do that too. And then she shared it with another friend. It's like, how cool would it be just to know that they're like, you can be fasting with your friends, even if you're in different countries or different time zones, but knowing that you're there together. And then if, let's say it's a little more difficult one day, like I have friends that I can call upon, be like, hey, like I'm having a tough time. Can you pray for me? And they've responded. It's just, it helps so much to do this together.
Yeah, that's a huge driving force. Um, that oftentimes will make or break a more extended fast. Absolutely. Oh, now I'm inspired. Now I'm like, okay, we got to put something together here.
A lot of chills.
Yeah. Well, this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I'm so excited that you have, since your first fast, really ran with it. And yeah, I'm just excited to do more fasts together and have you share it with more people. And, like we said earlier, it's a quantum shift. So when you heal yourself, you heal quantumly people in your soul group that you don't even know or have never even met. Like you're all just affecting each other. And that's, sometimes it's like these portals come and my body fasts and it's like just giving it in service. Let's just fast for the whole. Um, so that's what it's feeling like. Maybe we do something for the collective and for every individual journey on this planet, right? Just coming together and doing that.
Completely, Celeste. And there's just one more thing I want to share that wants to come through that's present right now. When you said that when you fast, we access that quantum field, that quantum shift where when we heal within, we heal everyone we're connected to. And in reality, we are all connected. Yet I didn't even put this together until now. The fast that I had just embarked on, I've been having some conversations with my family back home, and they're waking up spiritually. Like the conversations I've had, they're opening up. I can feel it, I can sense it. And it's through phone conversations where they're considering what their purpose is. My sister, my uncle, my other uncle, they're having conversations with me and saying, like, yeah, I've really just been considering, what am I here for? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What do I love? And they're asking these questions to themselves. And whether or not it's connected to me fasting or not, just to bear witness and hear that of my own family, which is something I care so much about, just healing our ancestors, our generations, it's healing everyone, the whole. Like I believe like fasting works. Fasting is powerful, and it makes ripples across oceans, time zones, time quantum energy fields that we can't even see or comprehend. So yeah, thank you so much, Celeste, for sharing your heart and sharing this practice, for allowing me to remember, for opening up the space to show that it's possible, and for holding the space for myself. And with that, I've been able to hold space for many others too. So I really honor you, Celeste, for who you are, the work that you do, and everything that you are dedicated to with fasting, with the quantum energy field, with Lemuria, with womb wisdom, with with all of that, I honor you and I bow to you. And I'm so grateful to rise in love in this journey with you.
You're so beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and what you're experiencing is quantum healing, girl. That is quantum DNA activation. And call it fasting, call it showing up for the work, call it present, call it breath work. It's everything and it's nothing, right? It's like, and this is why, taking radical responsibility to show up in the now, forget about our plans for this next thing or whatever. It's like, how am I showing up right now? And what am I committing to right now? And then to watch that take on quantum effects is, yeah, you can't explain it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's such a beautiful and profound note to close on. And I also want to thank you. I want to honor you for showing up for this practice and for all that you do, sharing breath work and the power of that with so many people around the globe and holding this love and this light and this frequency, especially at this time that we all need it, right? So thank you. It's been an honor and I'm excited. I'm excited for our time together here moving forward.
Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo.
Mahalo, 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 dear sister. Until next time.
Till next